fellow heroes, and I've been playing Marvel Rivals since its launch, and we've officially moved into Season 1 of Marvel Rivals, as well as receiving new characters. The Fantastic Four have been announced, and we right now have Reed Richards and Sue Storm, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, and I kind of want to go over a review over them, talk about them, how they've affected gameplay, how they've affected rank, and if they're really good, and if they were worth the investment into getting into Marvel Rivals and things of that nature. Now, my criteria for this comes down to kind of three factors for the characters. Their agency, how much they can do with what utility they have. For example, someone like Wolverine, my main, he doesn't have a lot of agency. He really is gonna just attack the tanks, and he's really made to be a tank buster. So if a team doesn't have tanks, he's probably gonna not be used to his fullest potential. But then you have someone like Winter Soldier, who has a little more agency. He's good at displacing the tanks, pulling them towards your team and punching them away so you and your team can take out the tanks, but he also has good damage to take out the back line and take out the healers of that same nature. However, his ultimate doesn't give him that much agency, and the fact that you're taking someone with 250 health and making them jump into the back line without any support from healers and things of that nature. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of these characters. When we go to Mr. Fantastic, now, as for myself, I'm kind of hard stuck in Platinum. I really wanted to push for Diamond. I think if I just pumped more hours into it and I fixed some of the issues I had, I can get up there. So I can kind of tell you from a more casual experience, I've been playing the game every day for about 3 hours a day since Season 1's release. So it's been a couple weeks. So I'll give you more of a casual experience, but I have looked at more of the top tier players, like I think his name is Necros, the number one Spider-Man person, and some of the other people, and some of the mid-tier people, popular people like Tim the Tatman. Just kind of like what their friends are playing and what's going on at the higher level and what's going there. With that being said, Mr. Fantastic isn't being used a lot. Now, he is being used a lot when it comes to kind of lower tier in the more bronze, silver, a lot of quick play uses out of him. And a big reason for that is I think he's just got really good sustainability. When you look at what he has, it's really unique to the character. Oh, that's a fourth criteria that I have to add to the rating of these new characters is like cosmetically pleasing. Do they have that like sauce factor about them, and kind of does it capture the essence of the character? I think Mr. Fantastic definitely does with his stretchy punch. It's just a basic attack that he can just swing and slap everybody in front of him. Now, his ult is probably everyone's most disappointing. I found some use out of it. I think you leap forward. If you don't land every single hit with the ult, you actually get less bounces. So I think it's like 3, but then if you do hit it, you get up to 6 bounces, and it progressively gets stronger and stronger. I believe it starts at like 50 damage. Like if we look right here, yeah, it only took off like 1 bar of health. But then once you get to the last hit, you only get rewarded up to 100 points of damage. So you really, like, that was 3 hits on the first Punisher. So he was able to kill 2 Punishers with all bounces. It isn't that rewarding, and it doesn't do that much damage. It's one of those ults, kind of like in Season 0 Squirrel Girl, where you feel like you can just ignore it. Now, I've been able to pop it off, and I've been able to get kills. I've gotten triple kills with it and things like that. And if you're really just pressuring the backline, and if you're really pushing when your team's pushing, you can get it to go. The agency window for that is very narrowed. Because he's kind of very defensive, and he's almost like a pseudo tank in a way, he doesn't necessarily like play a big role in doing massive damage. So he's not really the best at taking out other tanks. He's good at mitigating damage, and he's good at consistently applying damage. So if anything, I could see him as kind of like a harasser, like Captain America, because he can jump in, and you see like that's only 1 point of damage. And then you see right here with the stretchy arms, they can do about 2 points of damage, and they have range. He's a mid-range character. And when he gets all rubbered, when he turns into a brick, gets all bricked up, he's then going to be able to just walk out of a situation. So I've seen a lot of Mr. Fantastics kind of go in, do some damage, get a mix-up going. They get some shields, you know, get up to 500 health easily, and then just walk out. The extended grip's pretty cool, you know, and again, it's consistent damage, it's consistent harassment. You don't realize how much you're doing until it goes in. I think the elastic strength is really cool feature of his, where he gets big. The animation for that looks fast, but actually takes a lot longer than you'd like it to take. There have been times where, one, it takes a long time to do that. The time it takes for that animation to pop, that is almost a whole second. There's so much that can happen that you're just stuck in that animation. There have been times where Iron Man has literally been sitting there with a unibeam on me, and I'm stuck getting into big mode, and then I lose my big mode because I've got unibeam down. And so sometimes I feel like that just needs to be more instantaneous. It's cool to see the animation, it's cool to see it, but I think just like how fast you go into this, you should just be right into big mode, and that kind of hurts him more than anything else. He has a team up with Invisible Woman, Wedded Harmony. That's again adds to survivability. Invisible Woman gets played a lot for good reason. We'll go into that here in a little bit. And I think that's kind of what Mr. Fantastic's going to do. A lot of times I was kind of treating him like Squirrel Girl, where I was sitting there holding left click and just swiping left and right, swiping left and right. And then if I saw an opportunity, I would jump into the backline, harass some of the backline people, and then just brick out and walk away, get out of it, activate my Wedding Harmony, and it was good. I didn't feel like I was making crazy plays with him. It felt like I got the most use out of him whenever we were moving payloads, but other than that, Mr. Fantastic is okay. He's not going to be something that's top tier. I don't know if he's someone that you really want to... I mean, if you main him, you can get some cool stuff happening, and you can definitely be the underdog of the game, but he's not going to be the biggest playmaker, though you will have to put a little more focus into him. So when it comes to agency, he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a little bit tanky with sustainability, which is good if you want to go into the backline and start harassing their backline, but he lacks the damage that some other characters can put out, like Psylocke with taking out squishies, or even Wolverine with taking out tanks. His role is DPS, but at times you're going to see that everyone else on your team dies and you're going to be the last one alive. That's a problem because you lose all your mobility if you have no teammates. So then you're kind of stuck. You kind of got to have good map awareness in order to really get around the plays that are happening with him. So if your team dies and you able to keep yourself alive, make sure you're aware that your team's not there so you can get out. Is he good at what he's meant to do? I think he's okay. I think there's a lot more we can get out of him if he did just a little extra damage. Like if Sue Storm gave him more damage instead of giving him more armor, I think he would be a little more liable. But if anything that needs to be boosted is his ult. If his ult did more damage comparative to like Psylocke's ult, then he's good. I think he's perfect and there's nothing else that needs to be changed, because I think everything about him is good except for his ult. That's the one thing that really kind of just makes him not appetizing. Other than that, Mr. Fantastic is an okay addition. I'd say he's mid. He's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. So let's move on to his wife. See if I can find her right here. Oh, she's not Sue Storm. She's probably Invisible Woman. There she is. So Invisible Woman is really meta right now. Mainly because the meta is 3 healers for top tier players. Her difficulty is pretty up there, and that's because some of her abilities can be a little more difficult to use. In terms of agency, she does decent damage. I think she's a really strong healer if you can figure out her abilities. Her projectiles are kind of like boomerangs. They go out and they come right back. So they can go through teammates and then they can hit enemies at the same time. But she has no mobility. So when it comes to mobility, she's just got a double jump that turns her invisible, and she has no way of really healing herself. Her psionic vortex doesn't heal herself like how Cloak and Daggers does, which means that if someone starts to focus you, you can get in a lot of trouble because you don't really have anyone. If you don't have anyone protecting you, you're kind of screwed. That's not to say you can't get out of it. That's not to say you can't outbeat them, but you're going to be in trouble. In terms of her role as a healer, really good. She fits in really well with the meta that's going in right now, and that's because she has a crazy defensive ult. Her defensive ult sends up a pillar, puts people that makes them they're not visible. A lot of times people will run away from it. If you use your defensive ult correctly, you can take domination sites. You can get the payload to push. You can save from just about every single ultimate that's going on in the game. And so she's really good. You can get that ult out. When it comes to her abilities and her terms of play, she's a 4-star difficulty, and I think a big part of it is 1, because she can't do anything to heal herself. But 2, I think it has a lot to do with the Guardian Shield. Now, the Psionic Vortex is really huge because I'm a Wolverine main. This keeps people from being able to really use any of their mobility abilities. So, like, Wolverine can't lunge when he's in there. Other characters won't be able to dash, or Spider-Man's going to be stuck as well. So that's the Vortex is really smart. Same with her Guardian Shield. I've seen so many invisible women do such huge plays saving me or saving other teammates using this Guardian Shield. It heals everywhere around you. So a lot of times, like, I think people may not realize it, and yes, it's stationary, but it's very much like Cloak and Dagger's bubble, except the added fact that it will block damage for you. And that's really useful even for melee characters when done correctly. So that shield right there is a huge pick. It can be kind of tricky, but you can recall it and replace it. I don't think there's any limit to doing that. So if you see someone moving around too much, you can kind of just like get it in their face. Another thing is, it always, placing it in front of someone is so much easier because a lot of Cloak and Daggers and lower elos will place their bubble behind the person, and then the person won't get healed because they don't realize it's behind them. This is like very much in your face. I've seen a lot of people step in front of it, be like, oh snap, that's healing, step back, sit behind it, and kind of shoot with it along with those things. So she's good at what she's made to do, which is healing. A lot of times when Invisible Woman is healing someone, she can save someone without her ultimate, but whenever she does have her ultimate and she pops it off, it will pause the fight essentially. And with a reason why this meta is so kind of annoying right now, and why it's made characters like Storm pop off, is the fact that we will be beating the crap out of each other. Multiple healers will pop their defensive ult. You're sitting there and you're kind of just building ult charge. So then if you're someone like Storm who hits her E inside of Invisible Woman's ult, you are now getting just free ult charge. If the other team is not using their healer, their defensive ults correctly, you then get to pop your ult and go. But same thing, other way around. If you're playing smart with this character, then you will wait. You will wait for Cloak and Dagger to use their defensive ult. Then you pop yours once that's run out. Or if the Luna Snow pop their defensive ult, then you wait and then you go and you pop your defensive ult. You can stun lock the entire enemy team for up to 30 seconds, even if there's only 2. Even if there's just a Luna Snow or an Invisible Woman, that's stun locking people up to 20 seconds. It's annoying. It's not fun. Take advantage of it while you still can. The defensive ults are just ridiculously powerful at this moment. I think she's meta for a reason, and she works well in the current meta. And I think when the meta goes away, she'll continue to be good. The only issue is that she doesn't really have a way to protect herself like the other healers do, like Mantis does, like Luna Snow does, like even freaking Cloak and Dagger. She doesn't really have any defensive abilities other than turning invisible herself. So I'd put her above Mr. Fantastic. I'd put her above mid tier, but I definitely still keep put, like, instead of like S tier, she's probably like A tier in that form of matter. Definitely like a 8 out of 10 hero. Great addition to the game. Also aesthetically pleasing. All of her abilities, the fact that she can be invisible as long as she wants, the fact that she can activate her invisibility by doing some mobility to get away from someone is really good and not taking damage. The fact that she can turn everyone else invisible. Her abilities really complement her in her costume. She has that sauce X factor. So really cool. Great. Seal of approval. If you guys want more content like this, more reviews over video games and movies, give a like and subscribe. Until next time, guys, play nice. Hey, I'm Mario. I like playing video games, watching movies, and Dungeons and Dragons. If you keep getting me in your suggested videos, or you're watching this video right here, consider subscribing. It goes a long way. Thank you.